Hi, and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In these videos, I livestream the development of the AnyRPG Engine, a free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. If you don't already have a copy of AnyRPG, you can pick one up at anyrpg.org/downloads in both Unity package and source code format. You can also find copies of any of the free playable games that I work on at the same page. In this episode, we will be continuing our work on the War of the Magi cutscene, which we started quite a few episodes ago, but needed to make some more NPCs for. So now that we're done creating all the NPCs and abilities that we need for that cutscene, we can take everything and put it together. I will be highlighting one additional free asset from the asset store that I'm using for this. This is one that I've used in quite a few other places. It's the Particle Collection SKJ 2016_free samples by SKJ. And this is just one of the really awesome free effects packages here, and I use several of these effects. I use these things for the character's ground slam in the game, and I'm using the magic circles here in quite a few places. You might recognize the black magic circle from the last episode where we made that skeleton rise from the dead. And I'm also using, I don't think I'm actually using that for the fire, but I will show you a really cool thing that comes with this pack that isn't shown on the web page there. So if we go into the scene mode here, I'm going to open up this prefab, and this pack comes with an awesome red force field. Now, what I wanted is I wanted a yellow force field, so I just took the red force field and I copied it, and then I just opened up the prefab, and here we've got a UV scroll, and it has a color over lifetime field. And I just changed that from red to yellow, and now I have an awesome yellow force field. So what I'm going to do is add that as an ability for my characters, and then they're going to basically walk across the screens with these force fields on. So to do that, we're going to have to make an ability. So let's go do that. We will go find our resources folders, and we want the shared one, and going down to base ability, and this ability is basically an instant cast. So we'll just make it a direct ability, and I'm just going to duplicate basically any other direct ability, and I'm going to call it Solar Shield. We'll take this, call it Solar Shield, and then under the description we'll call it Solar Shield. The resource description, I'll just leave that blank for now, it doesn't really matter, and it has no affinity names, no holdable objects. We're not going to ignore the global cooldown on it. We're not going to use the cast animation cast time because there won't be an animation. The ability casting time will be 0, and this is just going to be used to cast the buff effect on ourselves. It requires a target, it can be cast on self, and we're going to auto self cast it basically. That should work. So then when it hits, we'll want to have a status effect called Solar Shield. So to do that, now we can go into the ability effect folder, and somewhere in here we've got status effects right here. Perfect. And I'm just going to duplicate any old status effect. The main thing is just that it's a status effect class here. And actually, you know what? We actually have the perfect status effect for that. If I can find it. It's basically the force field status effect, which is not named force field. You know what? Water shield is actually one of the pretty good ones too. Water destruction aura is a perfect one. We'll just use that. So I'm just going to copy water destruction aura here, and I'm just going to call it solar shield. We'll rename this to solar shield, a shield of pure light from the sun. I'm going to remove the resource description. It's going to be target, live target, can cost on self, auto self cast. It will have one prefab. We're going to make a solar shield prefab for it. The prefab spawn location of target, I'm just going to put caster. It doesn't really matter, honestly, because the caster will be the target. Leaving target is fine. And for now, I'm just going to take off any tick effects. It's not going to do damage. We'll just make it a visual for starters. And honestly, we don't even have to limit the duration. This thing really should be unlimited. And that's pretty much it. So then we want to go make the prefab for it. So under our resources folders, we have prefab profiles, and under ability here, I'm just going to copy any of them. I'll move this open book one back down to the ability. Rename this to solar shield. Change this to AnyRPG force field yellow. Set the position to 0, 0, 0, set the rotation to 0, 0, 0, and remove the target bone so it just spawns at our caster's feet. I'm going to set the scale, let's see, to 5, 5, and 5 to start. Now let's save that, and we have the cutscene, and in the cutscene our units have some behavior profiles on them. So let's just go take a look at that. I believe our profiles were called, let's see, behavior profile, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell this guy begin ability, and it's going to be solar shield. For the other Sundancer unit, we're going to do the same thing. We'll go into his behavior profile at a start time of 1. We will have 2 behavior nodes, and the first thing he's going to do is begin the ability solar shield, which will cause him to basically put that shield around himself. So then now we have to actually teach him that ability. So I don't think I've created unit profiles for these guys yet. Doesn't look like it. And if I look at their equipment manager, which is the only other way that guys can, or units can learn abilities, I don't have anything in their equipment profile name. So that means we'll have to create unit profiles for these guys so that we can teach them the abilities. So under unit profiles, I'm going to make Jaden and Jaren Sundancer. I'm just going to duplicate any old existing profile. So we'll call this one Jaden Sundancer. Set it to Jaden Sundancer. just call him a hero. For the resource icon, I think I have a wizard icon. Let me just confirm that. Maybe I don't have a wizard icon yet. Okay, so I am using this for the blessing of the makers. Let me just see if I have that. Blessing of the makers, resource description using wizard. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this because that's the right graphic. I'm going to pull this one over into icon unit profile because we're making it for a unit profile. And I'm just going to call it Sun Dancer icon. Change this to Sun Dancer icon and just keep it at the wizard. So now if we go back to our Jaden Sun Dancer unit profile, we can use the Sun Dancer icon. His unit prefab is the Jaden Sun Dancer unit, and he will have one learned ability, Solar Shield. I'm then going to duplicate his profile. Replace the D with an R, so we have Jaren Sundancer. Jaren Sundancer is also a hero who also knows Solar Shield, but we will be using the Jaren Sundancer unit for him. The next thing we want to do is actually add that unit profile to the unit, so we'll go to the Jaden Sundancer unit and add the unit profile right here. Then we'll go to the Jaren Sundancer unit and add his unit profile as well. So now they should both know those abilities, and at the time that they start their patrol, they will hopefully cast them. So let's just jump into the game here. And I've got my tester over here in the Sun Temple. I'm just going to make another copy of him, load him up. Okay, and that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen that issue before. I wonder if that's something with the character. I'm gonna load up the character I was using in the last example here. Yeah, this guy in the arena trials was the one I was using. Okay, that's really really interesting that I'm not seeing that. You know what I think it is? I don't think it was my character. Actually, I think that was probably Sunlit, potentially. So Let's just take this character and run it to the Sun Temple and just confirm if we get that crash again. So we'll run out of the Arena of Trials here, and as soon as we hit the wall, we should load here into the Soul Forge. We'll jump on our mount. And I think I actually, did I activate the Sun Temple? No, that's the Ancient Archive. There's the Sun Temple back there. Okay, good. So we have a direct path to the Sun Temple through this crystal up here now. Save the game, and then let's travel there. Okay, so we do see that issue again. Alright, so let's just see what that is. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay, so let's just check the stack trace on that. This might have been as a result of another fix that I did, and it only applies to UMA AI units. So if we go into the AI character.awake there, we run Orchestrator start, which runs this base.orchestrator start. This is potentially why this stuff here was before this before. So by fixing the empty health bar above the character's head, we actually caused another bug in there, which will then go down and essentially expect references to exist to the animated units character animator at this point. So let's go back up the stack a little bit and see if there's a way that we can get around this easily. So the create component references call, let's see where that's called from. Right here. Okay, so what to do about this? We're getting the reference to the dynamic character avatar, and then we are subscribing to the UMA create method in the equipment manager, which requires the animated unit to have been initialized, but we won't have the reference to that yet. So I feel like in Orchestrator Start here, let's go to the definition of that. Our equipment manager here runs its Orchestrator startup method. Which is where the problem is. So what we need to do is basically attempt to reorder this somehow. What is the best way to do this going to be? Because if we look at character unit orchestrate startup right here, this is where we actually initialize the animator. So we get it through our create component references call, which is right here. Okay. So what if we had an orchestrator start and an orchestrator finish? I feel like I actually kind of need that. Because what we want to do is initialize almost everything and then initialize the stuff that required the other stuff to be initialized. So we call Orchestrator Start. It runs all this stuff. Goes to base.orchestrator start. Goes to Orchestrator Start Common. this right here, basically we need to do Orchestrator Finish. Yeah, that's the only way I see this working. Okay, so public override void Orchestrator Finish. Then that means in our equipment manager, we need a public virtual void Orchestrator Finish. We can call the base method. In the Orchestrator Finish there, overwrite me. Then in our base character, we have an awake method. Let's just see where we call Orchestrator start. In the AI character. So then what we should do is call Orchestrator Finish. And in our public void Orchestrator Finish, we will run our character equipment manager dot Orchestrator Finish. Okay, let's do Control-Shift-S to save all that. And now, hopefully, our UMA AI units won't crash the game. So let's just load up our tester from the Sun Temple here, because he's already basically standing right beside our book. Okay, that's a lot better. So my tester is looking good, my High Priestess Luminessa UMA unit is working, and we've got the War of the Magi cutscene. Excellent, so let's continue on and click on the cutscene. Oh wow, yeah, there we go. Very, very cool. Okay, so our units are now moving across the screen with these humongous shields around them. Wow, these things are big. Okay, but that's kind of pretty much exactly what we want. So now it's time to start adding the other units to the cutscene. So let's go actually edit this cutscene here. So we're going to go to the cutscene, which is the War of the Magi cutscene. We are going to click on environment, go to the scene tab, hit F. Let's hit F to focus on one of my Sundancer units here. I'm going to move down a little bit. I actually want this guy right here to move across the screen more like down here. And now I want to take my Blazial Light Fury unit, and holy cow, he's humongous. Wow. Oh, no wonder it's like also kind of perspective. Okay, so I'm going to middle click here and click on Control Alt F. There we go. Now he's sort of down on the ground. He's still like a giant compared to the other guys though. Okay, good. So then these guys, basically they all have behaviors and profiles. So for Blazial Light Fury, I have to change him to a Sunsworn or he's going to instantly attack my other units. So faction name is going to be Sunsworn, and I'm just going to apply that directly to his unit. The next thing I need to do is give him a behavior. So he doesn't have any initial spells to cast, but he does want to do a patrol, and the patrol should be fairly similar to the Sundancer guys. So let's just go look at the Jaden Sundancer patrol. We have a patrol profile right there, and we have Jaren Sundancer, and now I'm going to add Blazial Light Fury. So we have Blazial Light Fury, and just a second, who's this right here? This is Jaden. I actually want, yeah, okay, good. I'm going to make Blazial Light Fury. His was copied from Jaden, so he actually has the correct end destination, basically because Jaden used to be there. Jaden needs a new end destination, though. If you look at, I think I have a location finder right there, yeah. So basically, we're going to middle click right here and hit Control Alt F to move that location finder. Then we're going to copy these coordinates right here into Jaden's patrol profile. So copy the X value, go back to location finder, copy the Y value, go back to Jaden, paste that in there, go back to the location finder, copy the Z value, go back to Jaden, copy the Z value. Okay, perfect. So now they all have patrols. Blaze does not have a behavior profile though, so we'll go to the directory with behavior profiles. I'm just going to duplicate once again Jaden Sundancer, and I'm going to call this one Blazial Light Fury. We'll rename it up here, Blazial Light Fury, and he's going to begin the patrol, Blazial Light Fury. I'm just going to delete that initial element because he doesn't have any spells to cast on himself, and this is automatic. So he should actually start his patrol at the exact same times as the other guys. So let's save the cutscene. And then now what we want is we want the actual battle that's happening here. So to do that, this is our battlefield down here. I think I'm actually going to move each of these units back a little bit, like further up the hill. So I'm going to middle click here and then Control Alt F to move Jaden back. I'm going to middle click here, and then Control Alt F to move Blazial back, and then I'm going to middle click about here and then Control Alt F to move Jaren back. Now we've got a little more room in the center for the battle to start before our guys start walking across the field and demolishing everything. Over here at the very end, I want to put the Frost Lich. So to the Frost Lich unit. We'll pull it onto the scene here. I'll middle click on the ground, hit Control Alt F to bring him down there, zoom in, hit the E key on my keyboard and spin him around so he's facing the barbarians. The next thing that I want to do is actually add the barbarians. So I'm going to grab the Barbarian Shaman unit and put him right about here, sort of, actually how about right here. So I'm going to middle click on the ground, Control Alt F, and that'll move him down. Then I also want to add the Barbarian Mage unit. So I'm going to pull him onto the scene, middle click on the ground up here, Control Alt F, and now he's down there. Good. So then looking at the scene right now, these guys are about the right distance apart. Now we want to start adding some of those fallen comrades so that when our guys start casting spells, they'll start bringing people back to life. So we'll take some fallen comrade unit, pull him over here. Man, that guy's humongous. Middle click on the ground around here, Control Alt F to bring him in, and I'm going to create a new empty and call it units. Move all of our units down into the units because it's starting to get a little bit messy here. And then under units, you know what, just a second. I'm going to Control Z to move them all out. I'm going to set the units to 0, 0, 0. Now I'm going to pull them all back in there and they won't get moved to weird spots. So then I want to create an empty underneath there, and I'm going to call this one Fallen Comrades. We'll move the Fallen Comrade unit under there, and then we'll start duplicating them and putting them all over the scene. So I'll take this guy, Control D to duplicate him, middle click right here, Control Alt F to move the new one over there. Control D to duplicate him, middle click right here, Control Alt F to move the duplicated one over there. Control D to duplicate him, middle click right here, and Control Alt F to move the duplicated one over there. And then I'm going to Control D to duplicate him, middle click sort of up on the hill here, Control Alt F to move the duplicated one over there. We need a couple more, so Control D, middle click like right about here, Control Alt F, Control D to duplicate him, middle click over here somewhere, Control Alt F, and maybe one more up here, so Control D to duplicate him, middle click up here, Control Alt F. One more right here. Control D to duplicate him, middle click over here, Control Alt F. Alright, so now our battlefield is littered with fallen comrades. The next thing that we need is we want to put an Avatar of Death unit, but I don't want the Avatar of Death to come on right away. I want him to sort of come in like partially through the battle. So that means that we want to put a spawner in place that can spawn the Avatar of Death. So we can just basically use any old unit spawn node. So I'm just going to duplicate the AI soul spawner. Actually, you know what? Hey, angry reanimated bunny spawner. This is perfect because this one already responds to events. So I'm going to Control D to duplicate that angry reanimated bunny spawner, and I'm going to call it the Avatar of Death spawner. The unit profile is Avatar of Death. It'll have one prerequisite condition, prerequisite will be that a specific dialogue has been completed. And for the dialogue, our shamans are going to yell, "They're becoming more powerful." So I'll just literally call the dialogue "more powerful." We will want to create that dialogue. So to do that, we will go into our resources folder. We want the shared resources because that will have all our dialogues in it. I'm going to open up dialogue under cutscene here. We can just duplicate any old dialogue, and we'll call this one "more powerful." We'll name the dialogue "more powerful," and it'll just have one node, and it'll just be "they are becoming more powerful." And at that point, our avatar of death will be able to spawn. So this particular dialogue, we need to make a behavior for it. So our units for our barbarians don't have behavior profiles yet. So I'm just going to copy any old behavior profile, and I'm going to call this one the Barbarian Shaman. The Barbarian Shaman will, at, let's say, 10 seconds in, begin the dialogue "more powerful." Okay. That should be okay. It should get the battle started. The last thing I need to do is make these guys AoE spells trigger pink clouds that will go around and resurrect the fallen comrades. So let's go ahead and do that. To do that, we already have a pink cloud ability. If you can see, I put it in Thunderstorm, and I used it in the Raise the Skeleton from the Dead. So our Thunderstorm triggers something called Magic Revive AoE. So what we want to do is have our Barbarian Thunderstorm trigger Magic Revive AoE. We also want our Barbarian Meteor Shower to trigger Magic Revive AoE. So every time our barbarians cast a powerful AoE ability, it'll resurrect a skeleton by sending a pink cloud towards them and resurrecting them. The other thing I want to do is just make sure that Magic Revive AoE radius of 30. I think I'll give it 40 actually. And then the Magic Revive projectile, max range of 0 basically makes it unlimited range, so that's actually fine. I'm just going to give it a max range of 40 anyway. And then Magic Revive, we'll give that one max range of 40 as well, because that's our resurrection effect. And then we want to make sure that our Barbarian abilities, the Barbarian Thunderstorm, has a max range of, I think I can safely give that like 40 as well. And then the Barbarian Meteor Shower can also have a max range of like 40. And then the Barbarian Lightning Bolt animated ability can also have a max range of 40. Going to the Frost Lich's abilities, we have the Frost Lich Blizzard, which can get a max range of 40. And we have the Frost Lich Ice Shards channeled ability, which can also, you know what, this one doesn't even require a target, so it doesn't really matter. It's just a directional. We can just leave that at 0. That should be fine, I think. Okay, so because these guys are casters, they should theoretically stand there and cast on each other, and the skeletons should move in and attack these guys. Alright, I'm interested to see if any of that worked so far. So let's save the game and go into our load game manager. Press play and see if that worked. I think this is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath. I haven't given anybody increased health, and most of these abilities can kind of one-shot people, so I'm interested to see what happens here. So that definitely doesn't look like very much of a battle. There we go, that's a little better. Okay. So for some reason, our barbarians weren't aggroing our lich. This might have to do with aggro radiuses. So let's go look at our barbarian shaman unit. We'll open up his prefab. His aggro radius is set to 10, but I think we actually override it in one of these things as well. So we have initial aggro range set to 10. Let's set that to 20. And I want to just even make sure that that variable is being used. So we'll find all references to initial aggro range here. Here we set my aggro range. Okay. And let's find all references to that. So we set it to the initial aggro range. Do we actually do anything with it though? If we try to drop combat, we check it. It actually doesn't look like it's even in use. Oh, actually we do. Okay, good. So in the start method, we set the sphere collider's aggro radius to initial aggro range. Okay, perfect. So we were basically reducing it to 10. So what we want to do is go back into the barbarian mage unit. We want to set his initial aggro range to 20, and then we want to go into the Frost Lich unit and set his initial aggro range to 20 as well. Let's save that, and the next thing we want to do is make that cutscene last a little bit longer. So let's do that. That's part of the cutscene animation. So if we look at the War of the Magi cutscene animation right here, we can see that we're doing this animation finished event at like 15, and we actually want that to be like 30 seconds or something like that. So let's just pull it out to 30 because there's a lot of stuff that we need to put in there. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is adjust the dialogue underneath so it actually kind of makes more sense. So we have a War of the Magi dialogue. Okay, so we need to change this. Let's see, so the first element here will basically say the Magi were destroying the world with their thoughtlessness. The more magic was used, the more monsters emerged. That is pretty good. Then we want a third one that'll start at, I don't know, like 12 seconds. And the undead were winning the battle against the living. We'll have a fourth node here. The Sunsworn let's see, we'll say the Sunsworn offered the barbarians the chance to repent. And the barbarians refused, and the Sunsworn were forced to wage war on them to protect the world. And we'll start that one at like 20. No, you know what? 25. Okay, that's good enough for now. We'll adjust the timing in a little bit. So now what we need is to actually make some dialogues. So at 12 seconds, we say the Sunsworn offered the barbarians the chance to repent. So at 12 seconds, we want to put in a dialogue, basically, where they offer them the chance to repent. So let's do that. We'll just duplicate this dialogue right here. And I'm going to call this one repent. We'll just call it repent, and the dialogue will just say, please stop, you are destroying our world. And that'll be basically the only dialogue node. Next thing up, we need to duplicate this and we'll make another one, and this one will be called Barbarian Repent. And never, if you try to stop us, we'll kill you. change this to Barbarian Repent. Okay, so now what we need to do is actually add these dialogues to some people's behaviors. So I'm going to add Repent to Jaden's behavior. So we'll go into Jaden Sundancer here, and at a start time of, I can't remember, it was like 7, whoops, no, Control Z, add a second behavior node. The second behavior node starts at this time and begins dialogue, Repent. Then we want the Barbarian to answer. So at like 20 seconds, we'll have one of the Barbarians answer. So how about the Barbarian Shaman? So we'll go to his behavior profile and add a second node at a start time of 20 where he begins the dialogue, Barbarian Repent. Okay, we'll have to adjust the timing, but this should give us a little bit of a sort of flow to work with, pretty much. So let's just save that now, and I think we can just press play and see if any of that stuff is working. Then we'll tweak it some more as we need to. So we'll load up our guy in the Sun Temple. We'll click on our book to load the cutscene. Okay, that's better. So our barbarians are shooting like, oh yeah, oh AoEs all over the place. Fallen comrades rising from the dead everywhere. Jaren just got completely owned. And interesting. Okay, so object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay, so that's interesting. Oh, you know what? I think this is technically because Jaren's dead and he's still trying to play the dialogue, in which case he doesn't have a nameplate. Okay, so we're going to have to adjust our guys and make them a little tougher. And not only that, but actually nameplate unit.myNameplate does not equal null. Someone should not be able to shout when they're dead. Alright, so for toughness, we need to add unit toughnesses for these guys. And I also want to delay their walk across the screen as well. So we'll go into the Jaden Sundancer here. We'll actually set the start time to 10 seconds for this initial bit, because we don't want them walking across the screen or casting their stuff quite yet. We want them to sort of stay off the screen for a little bit so that we can watch everything happen. I also want to set their difficulty. So let's go to their unit profiles and set their default toughness to 25 man. That should prevent them from dying quite so quickly. We'll go to Blaziel Light Fury, set his default toughness to 25 man as well. And then let's just save that. Make sure that I named the toughness right. Yeah, okay, good. 25 man, so basically they get 25 times their normal health and 3 times their normal damage, pretty much. Let's try that out and just see how that looks and see if we can see more of that initial battle going on before our guys run over and demolish everyone. Okay, there we go. So these guys are just standing off there over on the side. Our Lich is like... Our Lich got demolished by the Barbarians too soon. But this is really cool because basically all the fallen Comrades are coming up. Okay, good. We got a little bit of a dialogue. Please stop. You're destroying our world. Okay, so that's not bad. I think actually we even want our Sundancers to wait even longer. I think we actually want them to start walking across at 20 seconds. And interestingly enough, we've got another one right here. Okay, so this is another null reference we need to do. And nameplate unit dot my nameplate does not equal null. Okay, so let's go adjust the timing on those things first of all. So we'll go back to Jaden as soon as this thing compiles. We'll look for our behavior profiles, go into the directory, and actually for Blaziel Light Fury, I don't know why I have two behavior nodes for him. His start time should also be 20 seconds. So Blaziel Light Fury, Jaden Sundancer, Jaren Sundancer, all 20 seconds for starting their patrol to give that battle pretty much time to happen. Let's see, we don't want the Lich to die immediately, so I'll go to the Frost Lich's unit profile, and I will also set his default toughness to 25 men. We want all these guys to basically last long enough to not die immediately. Same thing for the Barbarian Shaman and the Barbarian Mage. These guys should both get a default toughness of 25 men. Okay, so now they should all be able to last. For the Fallen Comrades, I feel like their units spawned in with the wrong class, but they didn't. Their faction name is definitely Undead. Okay, that's fine. I thought their nameplates were like orange, and in fact they actually might be, but let's go back in and just check. Make sure that our barbarians don't all die immediately. Oh yeah. I guess it doesn't matter. I need to extend the cutscene. I'll do that after I watch it this time though. Just keep on making little small tweaks. Okay, good. So our Barbarian Mage and our Barbarian Shaman are casting... Oh, look, our Frost Lich died, and actually so did our Shaman. And I think I know actually why that is. Okay, well that's not bad. I mean, Jaden and Jaren are now beginning their patrol. Blaziel Light Fury, I think I forgot to assign him his own behavior, which is why he didn't start his patrol. And the default toughness value that I put on those unit profiles isn't actually used for the unit's toughness. It's used for the toughness on the spawner. So let's go fix that stuff. We'll go over to Blaziel Light Fury's unit here. And Blaziel Light Fury, I forgot to give him his own behavior. So here we go, Blaziel. Now you have behavior. Next thing we want to do is we can actually directly set the toughness on these units somewhere. Let's see if I can find that. actually, potentially we can't. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, perfect. Toughness. So, Blaziel, there he is. AI stats, he's a 25 man. Then we want to do the same thing for the Frost Lich. So the Frost Lich unit, toughness, 25 man. And for the Barbarian Shaman unit, toughness, 25 man. And for the Barbarian Mage unit, toughness, 25 man. Now let's go make sure that Jaden, just look for Sundancer unit, and Jaden should have a toughness of 25 man, and Jaren should also have a toughness of 25 man. Okay, now let's go back to the cutscene and just make it a little bit longer here. So we'll go back to the War of the Magi cutscene animation, and we will pull it out to like 45 seconds. And let's press play and try that out. Okay, so Barbarians, casting at the Lich. Wow, he still got demolished pretty quickly. I feel like he did not have the correct toughness. And also, when these fallen comrade are resurrected, they're orange in their profile and they're not attacking our other units. So if I pause the scene and I just want to go look at Jaden, for example. I'm not actually revealing his stats here. But I really feel like those guys are still dying way too quickly. So let's go to the Frost Lich here. And let's see. I want to go into his AI stats, which is actually his character stats. And when we set that toughness, I want to confirm that it's actually being set properly. Because the Frost Lich, they have got like 25 times as much health as basically as damage, which means they shouldn't be getting two-shot like that. So we find the toughness string. You know what? I don't think I ever technically call setup scriptable objects. totally don't. Okay, so Orchestrator start should call setup scriptable objects. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, okay, that's what happened. Basically, we never set up scriptable objects, so we never technically got our toughness. Let's save that. I remember adding that scriptable objects call and completely forgetting to actually call it from anywhere. And the reason being because when I was initially spawning this guy, I was actually spawning him with the control panel, and the control panel will always set his toughness properly. But if you don't spawn him through a control panel, I forgot to invoke the method that actually does it manually. So let's try this now. Now we should actually see our guys like with a proper toughness. Woo, look at that. Okay, yeah, that's good news. So basically that means it's working, and it found an error with a bunch of the units in the level. And since there's so many errors, I'm assuming that this is actually from the fallen Comrade units. So we're going to go in a fallen Comrade unit, and we're just going to find that toughness setting, because 0 is not a valid value. Where is it? There we go, toughness is 0. We just need to remove that. Fallen Comrades, you know what? Let's make them a little tougher than usual. We'll make them 5-man toughness. Okay, that's way better. Now our Frostlich has a lot more hit points. He's actually like surviving. He's actually able to like cast stuff. Our barbarians aren't getting one shot. I think I'm gonna have to make actually a new toughness with like 100 times regular hit points, and like just 1 times damage, because they're still kind of dying. But that's a lot better. We're getting like a lot closer to pretty much what we're looking for here. So one thing that I notice right now, Blaziel's doing his job. He's over there just completely destroying everything. The fallen Comrades are still not properly aggroing. But that was a lot better. Okay, so to prevent Jaden and Jaren from charging across the screen, we have to make sure that they don't have any melee abilities, because as a caster they will properly stand exactly where they need to if they don't have any melee abilities. So let's go check Jaden and Jaren Sundancer. Okay, so interestingly enough, they don't actually have any melee abilities. So they actually shouldn't be running over towards those guys. This may actually be a bug in the code that I wrote, though, that keeps them from basically running too close if they don't have melee abilities. Let's go take a look at that. I think I know actually exactly what the problem is. If we're in their AI controller, no, they're going to go eventually in a follow state. Here we are, follow state code. So basically we have this function here called get min attack range. And what we want this to do, we need to make sure that get min attack range is not 0. So we actually need to put an AND statement around this block of code and basically go AI controller.getMin attack range does not equal 0. To answer your question, Keenan, because it's just quicker than typing it, kind of yes and no. So basically, in this cutscene, there's a series of events that have to happen. The deterministic parts of it are based on the behavior profile, and those are timed events. Like this always happens at 20 seconds, this always happens at 17 seconds, for example. The rest of the stuff is pretty random, and it's just basically based on sort of the characters. So our barbarians are going to randomly target people around them. The characters are going to go obey standard aggro, that sort of things. In the end, who the Sunsworn kill and in what order is just totally determined by aggro, pretty much. Hope that answers the question. So now what we want to do basically is make sure that that is greater than 0 before we perform that check and close this entire block in brackets. And now hopefully, because I think what was happening is basically Jaden didn't actually have any abilities at all, and so he couldn't find a min attack range. He was just returning 0, and the reason is if we go to the definition of that, all of these get min attack range functions have a default return value of 0. So that's what's happening there. Okay, let's try that again. And actually, before we do that, I'm going to make our guys a little bit tougher. So we have this 25-man difficulty right now, and I'm fine with it as a 25-man difficulty, but we actually need it to be a little bit more special for our cutscenes. So I'm actually going to make a new difficulty, and it's just going to be called literally War of the Magi. And it's a special difficulty that gives everybody 100 times health, regular strength, regular agility, regular intellect, and 100 times mana. And what this will mean is basically they can sit there and sort of pound on each other pretty much all day long. I'm going to make another difficulty called Blaziel Light Fury, because I pretty much want Blaziel to just go in and one-shot everything. So Blaziel Light Fury is super duper special. He gets his own unit toughness. And we're going to give him 50 times normal agility, 50 times normal strength, 50 times normal intellect. So he should pretty much be able to two-shot his enemies. Maybe. You know what? Give him 100. Yeah. He's totally going to just go in and two-shot everything. Maybe even one shot. We'll see. Now we need to actually assign these abilities to the characters. So our Frost Lich unit now gets War of the Magi as his difficulty. Same with our Barbarian Mages and Barbarian Shamans. We'll get War of the Magi as their difficulty. Jaden and Jaren Sundancer will also get War of the Magi as their toughness. And finally, Blaziel, our hero, is just in his own class, So Blaziel gets his own Blaziel Light Fury difficulty. Alright, awesome. And I want to add some more dialogue to the barbarians, because that first section just seems a little bit empty. So we'll go into the folder where their barbarians are. We have more powerful is one of their ones. You know what, just to keep things organized, I'm actually going to call this barbarian more powerful. So we have barbarian repent, never, if you try to stop us we'll kill you. We have barbarian more powerful, they're becoming more powerful. We want another one I'm going to call barbarian kill. So barbarian kill. And this one will be, let's see, at 1, the dialogue node will be, we are so powerful, nothing can stop us. And then that'll stay on for about 5 seconds. We'll set a second dialogue node where he basically realizes that he's totally wrong and he's like, oh no, what's happening? And then that one, we'll set the start time to 5 and the show time to 5. There will be a third dialogue where he says, kill them all. That one will start at 10 seconds, and then I'll create another dialogue called Barbarian Already Dead, and so his partner will answer him how they are already dead. So we'll have Barbarian Already Dead as the name of this dialogue. And how they are already dead. Okay, now we want to actually add these to the barbarians so they actually say them. So to do that, we will go to our barbarian units, and let's see, our shaman here. I don't think I actually gave him a behavior interactable, to be totally honest. Yeah, actually it kind of looks like I didn't. So we need to add a behavior interactable to our barbarian mage unit and add a behavior interactable to our barbarian shaman units. And then in order for him to actually be able to talk, he actually needs a dialogue interactable as well. He doesn't do any patrols, so we don't need a patrol interactable, but basically he definitely needs the dialogue interactable because that's what's going to accept the message to play the dialogue. For the barbarian mage, he's also going to need the dialogue interactable as well. Now, let's just see, did I call their behaviors directly after themselves? Unit profile, behavior profile, perfect. So I'm going to go to the barbarian units and now assign them their behavior profiles. So our barbarian mage unit gets one behavior profile called barbarian mage. Our barbarian shaman unit gets one behavior profile called barbarian shaman. Now we'll go to those, so I'll look for that barbarian mage. It looks like I haven't even created one for him yet. Okay, no worries. So we have barbarian shaman. Go to the folder where that is. This is our behavior profile. I'm going to duplicate the barbarian shaman behavior profile. Make a barbarian mage behavior profile. Okay, so the behavior, or the barbarian is going to start at a start time of 1 by beginning the dialogue. And I don't remember what I named that one now. I think it was... Let's see. Barbarian more powerful. Let's just see the ones that we're using again. Okay, so we start with Barbarian Kill as the first dialogue. Then we move on to Barbarian Already Dead at 12 seconds. Then Barbarian More Powerful around 17. Okay, so we have Barbarian Kill, Barbarian Already Dead, and Barbarian More Powerful. So he starts with Barbarian Kill. And at 17 seconds, he will do Barbarian Repent. Actually, I think we'll do that one about 20. For the Barbarian Mage, he will start at a time of 15 with Barbarian Already Dead and a time of 20 with Barbarian Repent. I don't know, that looks good enough for now. We can test that out. Let's try that. And looks like we didn't change the name of Barbarian Mage up here, so change that to Barbarian Mage, save, and press play. Okay, we'll click on the book there, load the cutscene. We are so powerful, nothing can stop us. Oh no, what's happening? Kill them all. How? They're already dead. Alright, let's see what happened here. Okay, that's a really interesting error. So this can only happen if there's basically no current dialogue node. I mean, I suppose we can add a current dialogue node does not equal null check right there. Let's try that again. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Actually, you know what? Let's just go back and check. Okay, so we have Barbarian already dead and Barbarian repent. Make sure just everything's spelled right there. Barbarian already dead. Yep, definitely. Start time, show time. Looks good. Barbarian repent. That looks fine. If we look at the Barbarian Shaman, that also looks fine. Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure what that null reference was about. Let's just try playing it again. Okay, so the Magi were destroying the world. The more monsters emerge, that's fine. Good timing, kill them all. How? They are already dead. That's okay. The undead were winning the battle. Okay, perfect. So wow, these guys like just flew across the screen all the way to the end. And Blazial Light Fury does not appear to be nearly as strong as he should be. He's still kind of killing these guys, but actually really slowly. Okay, let's start with Jaden and Jaren because they need to tell these guys to repent. And I didn't see the repent call coming from them. So we'll look for their behavior profiles. Oh yeah, no wonder it's at 17 seconds. Okay. I think we want to set this one for 20. For Jaren Sundancer, let's go to his behavior profile as well. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. And then let's set the Barbarians to reply at like 22 seconds. The other thing is actually they don't even begin their patrol until 20 seconds. So we should have this maybe stick on the screen a little bit longer. So let's go into the repent dialog here. And let's just set it to show for 10 seconds. And actually, I'm going to get all three of our heroes to say it. So Blazial will also shout it. So begin dialogue, repent, and Jaren will also shout it. And actually for him, I think I want him to shout it at 22 seconds. And actually for the Barbarians, we'll have them reply at 25. So, and to answer your question, basically because any RPG, I'm not sure if you're talking about like timeline for something built in or an add-on. If there's like a built-in way to do this, that might work. If it's an add-on, I can't redistribute them with the engine, so the behavior has to be basically compatible with the engine and redistributable, which means like it pretty much has to be code that I've written. But yeah, if Unity has like some built-in tool for it, that would be cool as well. I'll have to look that up after for sure. Definitely. Let me just pop on the asset store here and Unity timeline. Is it available on the asset store? We have film sample in the Great Fleece. Okay, so they're going to do their Barbarian Repent at 25 and Barbarian Shaman will do his Barbarian Repent at 25 as well. Okay, that should play through a little better. Also, Blaziel Light Fury, we need him to be even tougher. Basically what's happening is because everyone has 100 strength and stuff, we need to make him like way more powerful than that, like twice as powerful, 4 times as powerful compared to them. So what that means is he actually needs 400 times on the mana, 400 times on the intellect, 400 times on the strength, 400 times on the agility. That should make him pretty much crit and one-shot everything. So then we'll play that. Okay, so we are so powerful nothing can stop us. The Magi were destroying the world with their thoughtlessness. Oh no, what's happening? The more magic was used, the more monsters emerged. Kill them all. How? They're already dead. The undead were winning the battle against the living. That's pretty good. Please stop. You are destroying our world. The Sunsworn offered the barbarians the chance to repent. Never. All blah 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 blah. The barbarians and the Sunsworn were refused, had to wage war. That's pretty cool. Blaziel Light Fury is demolishing everyone, just like he should be, which is pretty good. And Blaziel's getting frozen by our Frost Lich here. Cool. That's not bad. We can make this cutscene last a little bit longer, maybe about a minute or so, and Blaziel will have time to actually make it over and kill the Frost guy, but that's actually starting to come along quite well. The other issue that I noticed was when our guys went back into their patrol, they actually sort of like sprinted across the scene super fast at regular movement speed, and I don't want them to do that. So I think I actually have to make a change to the code that when they re-enter their patrol state, they should reset their movement speed. But this is actually turning out pretty good so far. So another thing actually that I want to do is I want to make those black things a little smaller and maybe make our sun shields slightly more transparent, because Blaziel is practically invisible inside of that scene. So we'll go into the cutscene animation here. We will extend this to like 60 seconds to give Blaziel a little more time to finish everybody off. And we have a magic ring, and I actually want to do the magic ring violet. So we have this magic ring black right here, and magic ring black large. I'm going to copy the magic ring black. I'm going to call it magic ring violet. We're going to see if I have it. Yes, magic ring violet. Perfect. We're going to pull magic ring violet over onto here. We're going to rename this magic ring violet, and now on my magic revive, I want to use magic ring violet. This will hopefully result in a smaller ring that doesn't take up as much of the screen and sort of matches the pink clouds that are going out. The other thing I want to do was take those force fields down a little bit in size. So let's do that. We have the force field red and the force field yellow. I'm going to open up the force field yellow here, and our color over lifetime on the base is nothing, and our color over lifetime here is yellow. Now, interesting question, does this color picker right here, it doesn't. It has no opacity or alpha value on it. Okay, I might have to look this up offline. I'm not sure off the top of my head if there's an easy way to change the alpha on this thing. Okay, well that's not bad actually. We do have alpha. It starts at white. Let's turn it down like 3/4 of the way. I have no idea if this is actually even going to do anything or not. Because interestingly enough, this color actually kind of looks transparent. It's weird that it's not like a pure white. Yeah, I honestly have got no idea what that does. Anyway, let's set the start color again, and I'm just going to pull the alpha down to like 80 on that as well. Once again, just totally experimenting. I don't know if that's going to work. If it doesn't, I'll figure it out offline. Okay, so let's try this again. Our cutscene's got more time to run now. you know what? This is really interesting. Oh, hey, you know what? I think that worked, actually. These things kind of look a little more partially transparent. I can actually kind of see Blazial Sunlight Fury. These circles are still like way too big. They're taking up too much of the screen. I'm going to shrink them a little bit, but I realized why these guys have orange basically above their heads. They have orange above their heads because our character that we're playing this with actually has a staff on that sets the undead to friendly. So that's a little bit of an issue. Yeah, definitely. So first let's go to the magic ring violet right here. And I actually want to turn the scale down on these because these rings are kind of huge by default. What's interesting is if my character uses one of his abilities that has the magic ring blue in it, the blue one actually comes out the right size. I want to double click on this magic ring blue and open it up in the scene view and just sort of zoom in on it a little bit right here. So here we actually have the scale set to 0.25. We have the scaling mode set to hierarchy. So basically this entire ring is scaled down. I don't think I did the same thing with the violet. Violet is all set to 1. Yeah, okay. So just making sure here that everything is set to scaled as hierarchy, which it is, and simulation spaces are all local. I should be able to set the default scale for this thing to 0.25 and it should work, hopefully. So we'll look at magic ring violet here. We'll set the scale to 0.25. The other problem with our character having a thing on that's making the undead show the wrong buff, I'm going to test and see if that's fixed by actually like removing my character's weapon. Or just removing the buff entirely. So you can see we have this Undead Slayer buff, and that's actually what's causing the undead to be orange in the cutscene, because their color is based on the relation to our character. So now you can see that the Frost Lich is red instead of orange. There we go, and the pink rings are like way smaller. Okay, so one of the things I'm noticing here is basically the undead are never... Wow. Jaden just like ran off the screen there again. Okay, so one of the things I'm noticing basically is the undead never really get a chance to get up fully because they keep on getting, I think, hit with a spell before they can fully come to life. Although, no, this guy's standing up fully and he's not coming to life. So, hey, this is really good. Actually, they went back. They didn't resume their patrol. So we need them to resume their patrol as well. Okay, so let's go look at the fallen comrade units here. fallen comrade unit is definitely an undead, which means just like the Lich, he should be unfriendly to our character. One of the things I need to do with the Magic Revive AoE is I need to have it actually have a target limit on it, because what's happening is we're sending out like 1 billion magic clouds pretty much. So what we're going to do here is just set the max targets to 1. So every time that this is cast, it will only resurrect a single skeleton, which is a lot more like what we're looking for. Then I need to figure out why our skeletons on revive are not aggroing our characters. So if we look at our fallen comrade units, they get their ability fallen comrade attack. Let's see if I can find it. Animated ability, perfect. Fallen comrade attack uses melee range and it's an auto attack. And if we look at the fallen comrade equipment profile, they have a saber, which should teach them the fallen comrade attack ability, unless, no, you know what, I actually gave it to them directly through their unit profile. So they have an attack that should be a valid attack that should allow them to actually go and attack people. The other thing that could potentially be keeping them from aggroing is their aggro radius. I'm going to set initial aggro range to 20. And then let's open up the prefab here. Now we actually keep their sphere collider disabled by default, and it should be re-enabled when they get resurrected. Because when we were playing, and I want to just go see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play and I'm just going to load up the Arena of Trials, because we have our fallen comrades in the Arena of Trials and they're actually properly attacking our character, I believe. So let's go to the guy that's nobody's in the Arena of Trials right now, so I'll just load up this guy here. Whoa. And okay, that's really interesting. So apparently I don't have a reference to the character equipment manager at this point. Right, and that actually makes sense. That's because actually there are some AI souls in this level who don't have character equipment managers. So it totally makes sense to have a null reference check around that. Okay, let's try this again. We're going to jump back into that scene, hopefully without any issues. Okay, that's better. And now we're going to hop on our mount and we're going to go find the Arena of Trials, which is that orange crystal up there. let's save this guy right here, and oh, look at that, another bug. Okay, so unit toughness 0 not found. I think that might be our avatar of death unit. And in fact, I think what I need to do is basically like pretty much every single thing in here, I should make sure that their unit toughnesses are all either blank or something basically that they should be. So, yeah, okay, good, we're fine. You know what? The rest of them look fine. I'm just going to see if we don't get any issues. If we do, we'll get another error, and that's fine. We'll just go fix it. Okay, that's better. So we want to spawn the fallen comrade. He's dead, like he should be. We're going to cast Thunderstorm. That should cause Magic Revive Cloud to go over and hit him, putting a purple ring underneath him, making him come back to his feet. And okay, so right here, something happened basically where he didn't finish his resurrection basically, because what it should have done is enabled his aggro radius. So let's actually just pause the game and go look at our fallen comrade unit in the scene. Go to fallen comrade, we will click X so that we can see the entire hierarchy. Click F to focus on him. And now we want to look at his aggro range. So interestingly enough, the sphere collider actually is active. And it's got a radius of like 20. So pretty much, yeah, that sphere collider is big enough that everything in the entire arena should be able to get aggroed. So I think the problem is that our unit actually potentially still thinks he's dead. Let's just take a look at some of his other properties and see. His character motor isn't active. And that would definitely prevent him from moving towards us. So the character motor gets set to active when we exit the death state. So what we need to do is go to the implementation of iState and find our death state here. So right there, we should be calling death state and going into idle state or follow state, basically. Now, interestingly enough, I think we actually did enable aggro because our aggro collider was working. Let's confirm that. We're going to check enable aggro. And then go to aggro range.enable aggro. And just make sure that's actually working. Okay. when we come back to life, that's done in AI stats, or more specifically character stats. So let's look at the revive here. We are enabling the animator. I know that because he actually properly animates. Right here, let's see if we actually retrieve or receive the revive complete message. And also, I want to make sure that revive raw gets called. Okay, so I think that's good enough for now. Let's press play and just look at the debug messages there and just see what happened and why our skeleton is not aggroing us. Okay, so triggering revive animation. Okay, looking at the console here, it appears that we did not receive the revive complete event. Therefore, our character still thinks he's dead and hasn't reset his health. Okay, good. So why didn't we receive the revive complete event? Let's find all references to revive complete. So in AI stats, we create event subscriptions. This is probably as a result of some of the reworking that we did recently with the Orchestrator Start and Orchestrator Finish stuff. So if we look at create event subscriptions, I'm willing to bet that that's probably happening early in the process before we have a reference to the animator. Let's go to the base create event subscriptions, which gets called in Orchestrator Start. So what this means is that character stats also needs an Orchestrator Finish, which will, I'm going to call it like create late subscriptions, basically. Okay, yeah, so we're going to have to do that. So basically we want a public void Orchestrator Finish, we will call a new method called createLateSubscriptions. We'll make that a public virtual void createLateSubscriptions. And then in the AI stats, this override will be createLateSubscriptions. Then for the character stats, we'll want to find where Orchestrator Start is being called, find all references to that, which is right here in Orchestrator Start Common. And we will also want to do a similar thing to what we did down here, so Orchestrator Finish. So if character stats does not equal null, then go ahead and character stats.orchestrator finish. So what happens basically is in the Orchestrator Start we get references we can, in the Orchestrator Finish we get references, or we subscribe to events for things that were not referenced until Orchestrator Start was done. It's kind of like an early and late update type of idea there. Hopefully this will allow our character to properly subscribe to the events that will allow us to receive that animation signal letting us know that the animation is complete. Okay, so we're going to grab our fallen comrade, we're going to spawn him. Interesting. It's actually got aggro enabled right now. I think we might have disabled it afterwards, but let's check. Okay. Anyway, Cloud goes over to the fallen comrade, hits him, begins the resurrection spell. There we go. Awesome. Okay, rad. So that was it basically. It was just an ordering issue. So now we can go back in and we can check our cutscene, and hopefully our fallen comrades will actually come back to life now. That's exciting. And to be totally honest, the fact that that the guy's nameplates are orange really isn't actually affecting anything at all. So I'm just gonna even keep this buff on, because you can see that the guys were still fighting regardless of the fact that one of them was orange. So that's cool. You can see the cloud going out now. We can see one cloud at a time, which is much more what we're looking for basically. However, to be totally honest, I might send out 2 clouds at a time. Okay, this is good. So basically the guy is running over and attacking now. And we have more fallen comrades. And they come back to life properly, and they run off and they attack people. Okay, cool. So poor Blaziel Light Fury is standing way back there alone, and he is not completing the rest of his patrol. But this is pretty good because all these guys went over here and they aggroed Jaden Sundancer. And nobody's dying. So basically all the mechanics are working properly. All we need to do basically is just fix the timing. So let's do that. And we've got another null reference here. So I suppose we can say source character does not equal null. And I forget forgot the C there. Source character does not equal null, and we might as well say source character dot my character unit does not equal null too, because you can never have enough null checks in C. Okay, there we go. Now let's fix Blaziel's patrol. So what happened with Blaziel? Blaziel went into probably follow state. Let's see if we can find that. Blaziel would have went into follow state. He would have changed to attack state. He would have updated the target, had no target, and would have just returned to return state. That is kind of what we want him to do. He should return to the last spot that he was at in his patrol after combat. So we do want that. So we're going to go to return state. We're going to go to the definition of that. He's going to enter it. He's going to update. When he eventually reaches the leash position, he's going to jump into idle state. Let's go to the definition of that. Alright, so he jumps into idle state. He makes sure that the AI patrol is enabled and that the patrol complete is false. I think this is actually where the problem is. Let's actually just confirm that. So I'm going to enable this debug message here. Let's go here and look at this patrol complete. So I'm just going to enable basically all the debug messages here. I think the destination reached count may be a little off. This is potentially because destination reach count gets incremented by 1 immediately upon grabbing your first patrol. So let's just confirm that. I think that's a bug that I recognized was in the code but never had a need to fix because nobody's ever needed to resume a patrol after combat before. So we'll load up the game. We'll load up the cutscene. I think I want to double the speed of the pink clouds, make them hit their targets a lot quicker. And I think I'm going to allow 2 targets per pink cloud AoE. Okay. Blaziel has decided to just stand there again. So let's see what's happening with him. So we have max destination set to 0. Okay, so Blaziel enters idle state. I want to see if he actually enters patrol state as well there. And then if he doesn't, what could potentially be preventing him from entering patrol state? So basically it's this call right here, patrol complete. Okay, so let's go look at Blaziel's patrol and just see sort of what those settings are set to. So if we look at his patrol profile, he has a single destination. Interestingly enough, this one is not set to auto start. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but nobody actually ever has the destination reached count hit 1. Let's just press play again, because I want to see if he actually enters patrol state. Whoops, wrong guy. We want bottom guy. Okay, so interestingly enough, I think I see exactly what happened. Blaziel, I think, actually began his patrol, or tried to begin his patrol, potentially in the middle of a fight. We have that begin patrol thing, but basically, like, a skeleton wandered over and attacked him, and then pulled him over. Huh. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go investigate this offline, because there's probably a little bit of work that I have to do around the patrol state, and there's no point in me sort of muddling through it right now because I don't know how long that investigation is going to take, but I will definitely fix up the code, and we will come back and we will finish the War of the Magi cutscene in part 3 of this episode. It's mostly done, just a few little minor tweaks to get it working exactly perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the Cohesion YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.